Hi, I'm Lania and I'm a Texas teacher. I am in my second year at UNT Dallas pursuing my master's in educational leadership, and I'm here to give you tips on how you can pass your 368 PASL. So before I get into the 368, I did want to briefly touch on the 268 principal as an instructional leader exam. So I would highly recommend taking your 268 first. Just get it out of the way. I personally took it the summer after my first year of grad school. You know, as teachers, we get the summers off. I was able to prepare and not have to worry about, doing it during the school year. So you feel like, okay, one certification exam down, another one to go. And so you're not overwhelmed with having to think about how to prepare for 2 exams during your second year. And then also the 268, the constructed response portion, can help people start to think about and strategize how they're going to actually work on writing their PASL task and gathering the evidence that is needed to support your problem of practice. So the constructed response portion of the 268 features a few artifacts that you have to look at before you answer the different prompts. And I think it's like between 3 to 5. There's charts, there's data, just background information. And pretty much I feel like that's what the PASL task is asking you to do. So I was actually really nerve-wracked by that constructed response portion. I'm not super confident as a writer, and even on my 268, the constructed response portion was where I lost the most points. And so I was super concerned about this PASL because it's all writing. Someone did tell me it's different. The 268, there's a time limit and you have to look at the artifacts on the spot and prepare your response right there and then, versus the 368, you have time to think through, what you're going to write about. And this is actually a problem of practice that have elongated time to work on and to develop, and your writing can be revised, versus in the 268, there's not really a lot of revision going on because you're just trying to answer the questions. But getting that out of the way really mentally prepared me for the 368, which is almost like a marathon. You just have to keep going, versus the 268 is a race. You just have to finish in time, get everything done. Now moving on to the 368. And in Texas, it's available on the ETS website, or the Educational Testing Service website. Something else to know is that if you don't pass any part of the PASL, so there's 3 tasks that you have to submit, you're actually able to resubmit for a fee. So there's different windows that you can resubmit it for. Hopefully you won't have to do that. My tips are here to kind of guide you so that you can time manage, get everything done, stay organized. As background, I did start writing my 368 during my first year. So my main focus during that first year was to kind of understand what the PASL was, because my professors would talk about it and we had assignments that were PASL-like. But when I really got down to looking at the rubrics, looking at what the tasks were asking for, some of what I had written for my assignments in my first year didn't apply. Get a really clear understanding of what the PASL is very early on. And start writing it that first year. If your professors aren't making assignments PASL-like, make that connection yourself. Start writing about the things that you would write for your PASL in your assignments so that they can later on be used. So it does take about a month to receive your PASL task results, just like the 268. So I submitted mine in late November, and I didn't get my results back until late December. So December 30th to be exact. I was kind of confused when I got my score report because it didn't have a clear pass or fail on it. 42 is the passing score for both Georgia and Texas. So Georgia and Texas are the only 2 states that require this PASL performance task, this portfolio writing, as part of principal certification. So your score sheet only includes your numerical score. And so you just have to know that 42 is the passing score. So getting right into the tips for the actual PASL portfolio, my biggest tip is to stay organized and write in Google Docs or Google Drive. So that gives you the flexibility to write anywhere. You can use your phone, you can use a tablet, you can use your work computer, your home computer. You don't have to worry about a USB or files being on a certain computer and not on another. So that was a big deal for me, is that I started writing on Google Drive and making my folders right away just to keep organized. Making a folder for each task, and then each prompt, like prompt A, B, C, D, E. And that made it so easy to just copy and paste into the ETS platform for the PASL task, because it's literally just text boxes that you have to write your response in, and very simplistic. Adhere to a writing schedule. Write whenever you can, whether that's 30 minutes a day or 2 hours a week. Find the time. Especially if you're in a grad program like I am and working on your grad school work, teaching full time, maybe having extracurricular activities at the school that you work at, and then also trying to find time to study for your 268 and 368, it can quickly become overwhelming. So for me, my personal approach was taking small chunks. In terms of staying organized, a colleague of mine, she actually subbed at my school for the end of last school year, the 2021-2022 school year. She actually gave me a spreadsheet that I used to stay organized. That was honestly the most genius thing. I don't think I would have thought of that myself. So shout out to Miss Testu for helping with my organization, because each line for the task that she had, prompt A, prompt B, prompt C, in the spreadsheet, she had included what exactly the question was. So I thought that was super helpful. I did end up separately looking up the tasks and the rubrics and the examples, but I do want to say, starting off making a checklist or a spreadsheet to keep track of your progress, especially the drafts and then the final version, is so, so helpful. And it makes you feel accomplished. I'm someone who likes to check things off. I don't write in a final draft. So if I'm writing something, it's not going to be the final draft that I turn in. So it was nice for me to know what I have to come back to. And especially as I was assembling my portfolio together, some of my assignments, worked better for task 1 than for task 3. I was able to keep track of, I still had to respond and what I was already able to respond to given the work that I had done that first year. And a big thing is that when you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling I haven't had much time to write, or I barely have even chipped at the tip of the iceberg, it'll help you remind you, what you've already accomplished there. Or that's what I found to be useful for me as I started to get overwhelmed closer to the submission deadline. It's the same problem of practice for all 3 tasks. So I ended up using the same problem of practice for 2 of the tasks, and then one of the tasks I used a different problem. I started one problem of practice that first year. My second year, my problem slightly changed. If you can, I would recommend using the same problem of practice for 3, because some of what is required for you to write is very similar. So you can definitely just tweak a few things, elaborate in some prompts and just change your wording so that it works for all 3 tasks. It's just writing smarter, not working harder. So the tasks, as I mentioned, all contain common elements, such as questions about the planning process as well as the reflection process. So that's a really big thing to know about the PASL, is they want to know how you planned and they want to know how you reflected on the outcome, everything that happened, the process. There's different raters for every task. So you don't have to worry about, they're gonna get bored or tired of reading about the same thing. Most likely it's not even the same person grading your first task as it is your second and your third. So my advice in terms of actually working on the task is to work on task 1. That's where you should start. It helps you develop your ideas, and then go to task 3. So task 3 is weighted the most, is twice as much as task 1 and 2, and it requires 2 video artifacts. So in total, it's a 15-minute video that you have to, combine. So one of the videos is a 5-minute video on the process of planning for the PD you're planning to deliver to your campus or to a group of teachers. And then the second video is a 10-minute video on the reflection process with one of your team members, just going through how everything went, how you would change it. There's different prompts that you can choose to answer for the 10-minute video, but that's the prompts that I chose to follow. And finally, I'd work on task 2, because that has the observation forms and the student work samples that are required. Don't wait till the last minute to submit your portfolio. So I submitted my portfolio the Friday before it was due on a Monday. And I'm so glad that I did that, because I was having difficulties uploading that 15-minute video because they have a gigabyte cap on the video. So I first had to combine the 2 videos, and then I had to compress it so that it was able to be uploaded. And that was honestly one of the most stressful parts about completing this task. So I was stressed out trying to use different websites to compress this 15-minute video that I had just taken on my phone. I spent, I think, a whole day trying to do it, and I was getting super frustrated. So then the next day I was like, okay, I cannot get as emotionally invested in this process as I did the first day. I just need to get it done. Those are my tips on how you can pass the PASL exam. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope that you guys pass on your first try. Good luck to anyone who's in the starting stages or even the ending stages of completing your PASL because it is a big feat. Have a great day.